This winter storm just took a huge turn. With less than 24 hours until the United States is slammed with a record-breaking snow and crippling ice storm, there has been a dramatic change in the forecast that you don't want to miss. This will be the most severe winter storm to impact the southern United States since 2021, with a dangerous combination of heavy snow and significant freezing rain lasting for an unprecedented amount of time from Texas to the East Coast. However, as this storm moved over land, new data led to a rapid change in the models, dramatically altering where the most dangerous ice accumulations and what parts of the country may instead see historic snowfall. Temperatures could plunge to 30 degrees below zero Friday and Saturday, with wind chills approaching 60 degrees below zero. This brutal cold will eventually spread into the southern United States, meaning freezing rain and snow will stick around longer, extending major impacts. So in today's forecast, I'm going to break down exactly what you need to know about the big changes that have happened with this winter storm over the last 24 hours. And the good news is that we finally know what this winter storm is going to do in the United States over the next few days, who's going to see significant icing, who's going to see significant snow, and all of the other stuff in between. So let's talk more about it. We're going to begin with our future radar. This is what it's going to look like by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. We aren't going to have a whole lot of ongoing activity. There will be a little bit of light cold rain back over in Texas and southern Oklahoma, and then the beginning of our winter weather activities back over in the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle. That's going to be some light freezing rain. By lunchtime is when activity will really start to pick up. We are going to have a risk of light freezing drizzle and freezing rain stretching across areas like Oklahoma City and Tulsa. So this is the beginning of when you want to be off the roadways in Oklahoma. Back over in Kansas, we'll have some light freezing rain and snow mixing, so just be ready for that in far western and central parts of Oklahoma near Dodge City. And then eventually by 3 to 4 o'clock, activity really starts to pick up in north central Texas and the Texas Panhandle. That's where heavier freezing rain is going to become a concern near Lubbock and Amarillo. Moderate to heavy snow will be ongoing in parts of Kansas and also back over into New Mexico. But this winter storm is going to get a lot messier by late Friday night and Saturday. And Saturday is really going to be the day where this thing explodes into a massive winter storm, even more massive than the low taper fade meme. Now, as we go into late Friday night and early Saturday, that is when this winter storm will explode in intensity. We are going to have moderate to heavy freezing rain stretching from Lubbock, Texas, back into central and southern Arkansas, and this is where ice storm conditions are going to become more favorable during this time frame. Over in Little Rock, we are expecting sleet and freezing rain overnight Friday into Saturday, meaning there will be power outages, I think, across many areas around and especially to the south and east of Little Rock. Freezing rain will begin back over towards Dallas-Fort Worth, and we will have a band of heavy snow stretching from the Texas Panhandle back into northern Arkansas. So the mountain region there of northern Arkansas is going to be impacted by this, including Fayetteville, Mountain Home, and then back towards Tulsa, Oklahoma. Even Oklahoma City will be transitioning into snow by late tomorrow night. As we get closer to the morning hours, so right as we go into sunrise on Saturday, that heavy band of snow is going to shift its way over into Kentucky and Tennessee, just to the north of Memphis. This will be impacting areas, especially in southern Missouri, just south of St. Louis, where moderate to heavy snow will continue. Sleet is going to be right in the middle of that, so that's going to stretch from southern Oklahoma back towards Memphis, and then heavy freezing rain is going to be ongoing just outside of Dallas-Fort Worth, towards northern Mississippi near Tupelo, and also towards Huntsville in Alabama. Now, as we go later into Saturday morning, we're going to start to see a lot more moisture coming out of the Pacific and also out of the Gulf, and this is going to create a lot more problems on Saturday. Saturday morning, it might kind of look like this winter storm is just this and it's done. Well, no, we actually have all this moisture right here that's going to reinforce our winter system, and it's going to be even larger by Saturday afternoon and evening. So look at this. As we go into Saturday afternoon and evening, we're going to have a very intense band of snow, freezing rain, and sleet moving its way across Tennessee and Kentucky, and then eventually by Saturday night, we have a new band of freezing rain and snow that's going to form across almost all of Arkansas, almost all of North Texas, and also across West Texas. Almost all of that freezing rain will be moderate or heavy, which means ice accumulation will rapidly happen. You need to be preparing now for power outages that could last days in some of these areas, as we are expecting over a quarter of an inch of ice accumulation from Dallas-Fort Worth towards Little Rock, and then a very significant ice storm is expected in northern Mississippi, near Memphis, Tennessee, and also southeastern Arkansas, where ice storm warnings have already been issued, and that is an area that we could have some spots over 1 inch of ice accumulation. That is catastrophic. We are talking about very significant impacts in those areas that could really significantly damage trees, power lines, and there is a possibility that power outages will last days, if not even possibly over a week there in parts of Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas. As we go into the late evening on Saturday and into the overnight hours, this winter storm is going to be huge. We'll have freezing rain with a cold air damming setup happening back over in Georgia, upstate South Carolina, and nearly all of North Carolina. Our first snow will begin back over in Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, and Delaware, and then another huge band of snow is going to stretch from New Mexico back into Illinois. This will be round 2 of our heavy snowfall, and then freezing rain again stretching across a huge area. This is going to be one of the most dangerous winter storms that we have seen in a long time here in the United States. As we go into Sunday morning, so when you wake up on Sunday, we are still going to have heavy bands of freezing rain ongoing in parts of North Texas, central and southern Arkansas, including Little Rock, back over towards western and very extreme northwestern Mississippi and Memphis. Back over in Nashville, we are going to be on the fringe of a freezing rain / ice storm event. I do think freezing rain is going to be the dominant concern for the Nashville area. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that the models have been shifting over the last 24 hours. We've talked about this in our previous video, and they have shifted again. A lot of models are bringing stuff again a little bit further south, and obviously the smallest change to the south is going to make a major difference when it comes to areas like Atlanta, Georgia, Huntsville, and even parts of Mississippi and even Tennessee seeing an ice storm. So I just want to point out that if you're back over in Nashville, the ice storm risk is starting to increase again. If you're in the Atlanta area, I do think ice is likely. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but I would definitely be preparing for ice. It is starting to trend back towards it being at least some sort of ice event. It might not be a widespread ice storm, but at least some ice accumulation is on the table there. That is a very key note that I want to point out here. And then as we go into the overnight hours Saturday into early Sunday morning, freezing rain will continue in North Texas, almost all across Arkansas, and back into western Tennessee. We could have a warm slot that goes all the way up into Atlanta, even near Nashville, but that does not mean ice accumulation is not going to happen here. And even if the ice were to melt on Sunday morning in these areas, it will refreeze once our Arctic blast kicks into gear here in the Tennessee Valley and down into the Dixie Alley. Heavy snow is going to continue from New Jersey back into Oklahoma. We will have a transition into snow if you are in Wichita Falls, Texas, if you are in Oklahoma City, even Dallas-Fort Worth could see some snow Sunday morning. And then a very significant freezing rain event will continue along the Mississippi River around Memphis, and that is, I think Memphis is honestly going to be the worst impacted by this ice storm. And then throughout the day on Sunday, we are going to have a significant winter storm impacting nearly the entire Midwest and the Ohio Valley, and then back into the Northeast. We will have the possibility of snowfall rates up to 2 to even 3 inches per hour in parts of Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and back towards Long Island. Freezing rain will continue in Virginia, almost all of West Virginia, and then back into parts of Maryland during the late afternoon and early evening on Sunday. And then snow will continue as well across most areas in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, even by Sunday night. As we go later into Sunday night and into the overnight hours, snow will continue across most of New England. Some light freezing rain is possible in Long Island, even towards Virginia Beach, and also into parts of central New Jersey. And then as we go into Monday, light snow will continue across the Northeast, and then we'll be done with this winter storm by Tuesday, and then eventually by the middle and end of next week, yes, there could be another winter system across parts of the Southern Plains and the Southeast. This is entirely possible, by the way. I'm not just showing you this because it's 200 hours out, but we are going to have so much Arctic air spilling down towards the Gulf Coast. We could be talking about another winter storm by the middle and end of next week, so this madness is not going to end anytime soon. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel because things are about to get very crazy. I also want to point out this is the European model, and it has been shifting back to the south again, and it does show ice and also, again, freezing rain being in areas like Atlanta, Georgia, Sunday morning. So that is why I'm telling you guys, if you are in the Atlanta area, if you are in upstate South Carolina, you still need to be preparing for an ice storm. Even if you don't see ice in Atlanta, it's best to be safe than sorry because things could change very quickly last second. It is a very sharp dividing line, guys. It's going to be one of those things that might come down to maybe tomorrow or even Saturday, knowing whether we are actually going to see ice there. But at least for right now, trends are going back in that direction, and that is not a good thing for a very populated area. Ice storms is very likely, again, right along the Mississippi River near Memphis, and then we could even see a little bit of freezing rain just outside of Houston. I don't think Houston is going to see freezing rain on Sunday, which means there shouldn't be ice accumulation, but there's going to be normal rain, and we are going to get that Arctic blast on Sunday, which means temperatures will drop quickly behind all of that precipitation, and we could see a flash freeze. So even if you do not see yourself in one of those pink areas here throughout the day on Saturday or Sunday, keep in mind the cold front, when it comes through, it could create black ice and it can create slick spots on the roadways. So just a big heads up for anybody that is in other locations that may have not seen yourself in the pink area. That is something that you definitely need to be monitoring here as we go into Sunday. And we'll talk more about snow and ice accumulation in a second, but this is the entire map right now when it comes to winter storm watches, warnings, and ice storm warnings. And yes, we have a huge swath of winter storm watches. This is one of the largest areas I've ever seen. It goes from Arizona and New Mexico all the way into the Northeast, and this is for the next next few days. We also have ice storm warnings in effect. This is where a catastrophic ice storm is possible just southwest of Nashville, just outside of Memphis, into northern Mississippi. We have winter storm warnings in effect in the pink. That includes areas like Lubbock, almost all of Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, almost all of Arkansas now. And then we also have winter weather advisories in effect in northern Alabama and extreme southern Tennessee. This is an area that's a bit more questionable right now when it comes to seeing ice accumulation, but we will keep you posted with the latest if anything changes there. And then over here, northern Georgia, including Atlanta, we now have winter storm watches in effect. Keep in mind that we are going to go live today at some point covering this winter storm and going over all of your questions. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified for that. I'm going to have a very detailed live stream tonight talking all about this winter storm, and then we'll have upwards of 50 hours of live streaming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with a lot of stuff to talk about. Now, we are talking about the threat of a historic winter storm with snow and ice, and snow is going to be one of the biggest things that comes out of this winter storm. This is an idea of how much snow you guys can expect across the board, and right now we are expecting a widespread 5 to 10 inches of snow from central and northern Oklahoma into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. It's going to be a very large area. Areas like St. Louis, I think, will be a little bit lower than 10 inches. This is a blend of different models, so it's kind of just an average of everything. I think back over in St. Louis, it'll probably be closer to around 5-10 inches of snow. If you're back over here near Tulsa, just north of Oklahoma City, I do think some areas will pick up 12 to 18 inches of snow when this is all said and done. I truly think that is what's going to happen there. Back over near Mountain Home and Fayetteville, likely going to be near a foot of snow. Northern Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, definitely looking at a widespread 6 to 12 inches with a few isolated locations, as high as 18 inches being on the table. If you're back over towards Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, or DFW, you guys are looking at very little snowfall, maybe 1 to 3 inches. The biggest concern is going to be the ice storm in these areas. We are talking about significant icing for all of you in that corridor. And then as far north as Chicago, Iowa, and Wisconsin, you will also feel the impacts of this winter storm. Even if it's not going to be that significant, you will see a little bit of snow when this is all said and done. Further off to the east, in Kentucky, Ohio, back into the northeast, we are expecting a major winter storm in these areas with a widespread 12 to 18 inches of snow likely for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, southern New England. 1 to 2 feet of snow is likely. Back over here in southern New England, we are talking about a major winter storm in the northeast for snowfall. So get ready for the biggest snowfall that we've seen for parts of New England in years. We have not really seen that many snow events in New England that have been over a foot of snow in like 5 years. This is going to be huge. Back over in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and even New Hampshire and Vermont, it is going to be crazy. Back over towards Atlanta, North Carolina, southeastern Tennessee, again, not really looking at much snow there. Unfortunately, it's mostly going to be an ice storm. And this is a graphic that I've put together to show you where the most significant snow is going to happen and where ice storm impacts are likely. I think this is a much more realistic range. This is a forecast that, again, I've created here. I think that 12 to 18 inch range will not go as far north as St. Louis. I think it'll be mostly for Tulsa, northern Oklahoma, southern Missouri, and then 8 to 12 inches across Louisville, Cincinnati, back towards Columbus, 12 to 18 inches in northern West Virginia, including Morgantown, back into southeastern Pennsylvania near Philadelphia, and then back into New Jersey. Long Island, at least 8 to 12 inches of snow, but I do think 1 to 2 feet is possible in this area, and honestly, I think it's becoming more likely than not, and we will probably make adjustments to this forecast as we get closer. It's just a matter of basically what this winter storm is going to do as we go into tonight and tomorrow. Once we have some better model data here, we'll definitely increase those numbers as we get closer. Ice storm impacts are expected, again, anywhere basically from parts of DFW into Little Rock, going over toward Shreveport, Monroe, Louisiana, Atlanta, Georgia, likely going to see some ice storm impacts too, and then Charlotte, North Carolina, and far upstate South Carolina. Get ready for an ice storm. And when it comes to the freezing rain, which will lead to ice, we are expecting significant icing, including areas like Dallas, Fort Worth, central southern Arkansas. This is a corridor that we're at least expecting a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of ice accumulation. Some localized areas will definitely get closer to 1 inch of ice accumulation, especially in the ice storm warnings that are in effect. I do think Memphis is going to be at risk for a more significant ice storm as well, so definitely be preparing now for an ice storm in those areas. And then back over towards the east into areas like Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, we are expecting ice storm criteria to be met in parts of Virginia, North Carolina near Charlotte, upstate South Carolina, and just to the northeast of Atlanta. If you are in the Atlanta area, get ready for ice accumulation. At least around a 1/4, maybe up to a 1/2 inch of ice is going to be possible. And then back into Long Island and even back into parts of Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., we are at least going to see a 1/10 of an inch of ice, I think, for a lot of these areas. Even though it's going to be a very brief transition to ice, it is definitely still something that you need to be staying weather aware of up there. But again, keep in mind, anywhere down here in this region, most areas of Mississippi and Louisiana do not have all of the roadways treated, so this is going to be a very dangerous winter storm that you do not want to be traveling during. So if you have any sort of travel plans, if you have any sort of preparations that you need to do, get them done today. The last day is tomorrow for areas in the mid-Atlantic. And guys, this is going to be a historic winter storm. There's no doubt about it, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest updates. We will have a live stream tonight, and we will be live at some point tomorrow talking all about this winter storm. I'll be answering as many questions as humanly possible tonight, so come prepared with questions tonight on our live stream. We'll be answering as many as humanly possible, and make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next video or live stream.